Lloyd Russell-Moyle, Labour MP for Brighton. Lloyd, good morning.
Good morning.
Therein, and I'm being honest, appreciate you being honest, I said it to Annalise half an hour ago, therein lies your problem. Your leader can talk about house building on green areas, he can talk about lower taxation, he can do whatever. That middle part of England, Lloyd, and you know this, you've got to be honest with me, that middle part of England that decides between a majority and a hung parliament are convinced that you lot, and I'm being straight, are taking us straight back into the European Union. How would you answer Sarah in Greenwich?
Well, it's just not true. I mean, you lot, and I mean right-wing journalists, are trying to convince people, I mean, you might not be a right-wing journalist, but I suspect you are, but your company is trying to convince people that that's Keir Starmer's view to try and help Russia. The reality is that is nowhere near Keir's view and not near my view either. And you probably can't find a bigger Remainer or Ramona than me. I wanted to stay in and I was willing to do everything we could too. But we have the deal now. And the reality is Russia has already renegotiated parts of the EU exit deal in Northern Ireland. It is something that we are constantly going to have to be renegotiating. As the world changes, as AI comes forward, for example, we're going to have to renegotiate sections that cover that. And we're going to have to relook at bits that we haven't got in. Brexit was a bit like a divorce. It was painful. And it left lots of bad taste at the beginning.
And expensive. Can I point that out? Not personal experience at all.
And expensive. But as time goes on, hopefully, with divorces that work out well, you start to get more respect for each other. You can be friends a bit again. You sometimes can even have dinner with each other. It's not that you want to get back together.
Russell, I don't.
What it is that you start to mature your relationship and you say we actually can start to cooperate a bit better on areas.
I don't disagree that it's half-baked, that it isn't up to speed. I don't disagree in any of that. What I'm trying to say to you is, and listen, if I was so far right-wing that I wanted to encourage it, I wouldn't have you on. I have you and Annalisa Dodds on because I think it's really important, and now hear me out, that we get both sides and people make their minds up. Because I said earlier, and you won't like this, if I woke up after a 10-year coma, right now I wouldn't know the difference between the two parties. The Tories are supposed to be low taxation and house building. They've got the highest rates of taxation since the beginning of time. And you lot are saying, what I'm saying is this, you have a battle on your hands with cynical people, not cynical people, people who will decide the next election. You look at Sadiq Khan. Let me repeat that text from earlier. Sadiq Khan is more interested in charging for air than knife crime in London. Let's talk about, because there's loads of things in the news today, Russ, I'd like your take. Knife crime, those statistics, 19,292 offences since 2022. Massive rise in the last year. Rural crime, not just in big cities. I sit here every day, oh, we need more police officers. Oh, we need stricter crimes. Oh, we need to educate people. What's your view on this? Because it is an epidemic and it needs dealing with.
Well, we need to do all of that. But the problem is those who just want... Well, let me say it differently. New Labour, when we got in under Tony Blair, we understood this. We wanted to be tough on crime and we wanted to be tough on the causes of crime. That's what we need to go back to. We need to go back to understanding that, yes, you need tough sentences and we need to be honest with people because we don't have enough capacity in the prison system. So what we do at the moment is we make up a sentence and we immediately half it. We should just be honest with people and either give half of the sentence so people aren't let down when someone's let out, or we should build better forms of criminal justice punishment. I don't think everyone does need to be in prison. I think there are some punishments where you can be forced to work to fix your...
Is that going to stop you carrying a knife, though?
No, well, on knife crime, maybe you should be in prison longer. And maybe for other things, you should be able to... there are ways that you can deal with this.
You probably call me right-wing. You probably...
You need to... Yeah, go on.
You probably call me right-wing. I'd say I'm probably old-fashioned. I think that if you break the law, right, if you break the law, then there are consequences. Plus, I think, right, there should be parameters, and those consequences should, with the one act to upset, all the people who think this is harsh, right? The truth of the matter is, if you're scared, if a deterrent puts you off, you won't commit the crime. Can I talk to you about the other big thing that everyone...
It doesn't always work like that, though. That's the problem. So deterrents don't always put people off, and so we need to do both. We need to also work out why some people are not put off by deterrence and are still motivated to do those things, and we can do some things that stop people even getting to those situations in the first place.
AI, overnight, BT allegedly brutally axing 55,000 jobs and replacing 10,000 with robots. Personally, I mean, honestly, radio and television presenters, MPs, the civil service, the NHS, we're all going to be replaced. What's your take on AI this morning?
Well, I have yet to see AI work perfectly for things like customer service. And we've all got some of these customer service AI bots that you work with at the moment, where you type in and it's meant to come up with the answer, or where you speak down the phone and it's an automated machine. So far, I find them completely useless. And companies that employ them, I tend not to go with, because I don't think that you have a proper interaction with a human on complex issues. However, if the technology gets good enough, then of course we move with the times. But what's always happened in life, in this world, when we've created technology, some people, of course, have lost their jobs, but in the end, it just creates more jobs somewhere else. And that's what will, I'm sure, happen with BT. You will find that they'll be needing jobs for people to roll out broadband or do other areas of work. And I hope that what can happen is that we find a way that you can move to that transition without having to make people redundant, because that's always horrible, isn't it?
It is. One final thing, and this is from an anonymous texter who says that you and I should discuss sewage, because we're both foolish anyway. Water bills set to rise to pay for a 10 billion upgrade to our sewage system. Some disgusting views over the last months and years of sewage being pumped into our oceans, into our rivers. Ruth Kelly, in Peter Cardwell's words earlier, who was crap as a minister, is in charge of this. Basically, what we're saying is the whole system's screwed, and we, the taxpayer, in the middle of a cost of living crisis, are going to have to pay for this. And for once, I might sound a bit, like I'm on the left, who everybody's going to go, what's going on? Yeah. It's all right to pay your shareholders, is it? But we're supposed to pick up the bloody tabs. Disgusting. Disgusting.
I mean, I think you're right. And I think what should happen is that there should be a moratorium on any dividends to taxpayers until this situation is sorted. And if they are not paying any money to taxpayers, and then they still need a bit more, then they should be able to come back and ask us or ask the government. But until they are paying any penny to their shareholders, they should not be able to be asking us for any penny more.
Listen, can't agree. We'll agree on that one, despite the fact he had to go. But by the way, I'm still on the net zero one. Ridiculous. The driver let 120 quid to your bills. Lloyd, Russell-Moyle, thank you very much indeed.